chills, winter is coming, and the spring is so far, 'cause the fall is for preparing, putting veggies in a jar. You better warm up, oop, oop, you better wear more scarves, add more spices too, you better warm up, you better understand, TCM cycles are not new. TCM's all I want, ooh, 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 honey. TCM is all that I want, ooh, 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 honey. The one I need, oh yes indeed. Okay, please don't go, I promise you I'm not crazy, I promise you. Welcome. If it's your first time here, I'm Claire, and I create Chinese medicine and acupuncture content for practitioners and students, making it easy to grasp and fun to learn. As you can see from me singing, I know I can't sing, so if it's your first time here, this is what I do, just to warm up and get excited about connecting again. I missed you all. If you're watching the replay, because this is a live right now, the description below this video will have the timestamps, so you can bypass the next few minutes when I connect with everybody that took the time to show up live, and you can start when class starts. So click the link below and check out the description for timestamp if you're watching the replay. If you are not watching a replay and you are here live, let me see you beautiful people. Hello guys. Oh my God, look at this. Mark's here and Tad is here. I'm just gonna make sure I get this off. Perfect, so I can see you guys. This is awesome. Look at that. We've got everybody from Scotland and Austria. Look at Europe dominating again. That's so awesome. Look at this. Mark is here. Love your singing. Very true, Mark. My singing is just unbelievable. Oh my God, you guys. LOL on my other account today. Greeting, Ashford from Puerto Rico. Okay, that's okay. It doesn't matter which account you hear. But it's so nice to see you guys, to be here. So please say hello, because I've missed you. It's been a while because it was summer here in Vancouver, Canada, and we enjoyed hiking and mountain biking and being outside and really enjoying the outdoors, so I did not feel like being inside too much. Today is the perfect day to be on YouTube with you guys, because I don't know if you can see behind me, but it's pouring rain for the last 3 days. It just rains and rains and rains. So it's a great day to be inside and do this. Hello, Willie from Ireland, and Chris says wonderful singing. You guys are so nice and so not true. I know I can't sing, but that's okay. I really appreciate the love. Rina from Israel, hi. And then we've got Ed from Holland. Yeah, usually we get a lot of people from all over the world, which I think is unbelievable, because I know it's different time, different places. MD Nazir, oh, Dr. Anwar, hi from India. How are you? That's awesome to see you here as well, because I know it's pretty late in India. I would say it's probably 1:30 in the morning, so I am so thankful you're here. But if you fall asleep, I totally would understand that. So Diana, hi from the Netherlands. I love that. We've got people, again, lots of people from Europe always, because I think it's the right time over there. So today in Canada is a national holiday. It's a new national holiday, so a lot of people are off as well, which that's why I'm doing it Thursday. Usually I do on Wednesday, but I went on Thursday today. So hi, Lenka. Oh my God, Lenka, it's so nice to see you. We have emailed each other quite a lot from Slovakia. I love it. Thank you for being here as well. So I'm super pumped you guys are here, because like I said, it's been a while, and I feel like the live part is to connect with everybody, and I miss that. I miss connecting. I know I'm on social media everywhere, and then we can connect, but it's not the same when it's just, like, it's not live, right? It's just later, and I like when it's live and we have actually feel like we are connecting. So thank you all for being here. I really appreciate that. I am going to start. I'm just gonna go back to this and just take the comment off for now, but I can still see your comment on the side here. So if you have any question, always ask, and if I can answer them, I will for sure. Hi, Elizabeth. Thank you. Love it. So today we're going to talk, it's interesting, because lately with a lot of colleague of mine and people, we've talked about changes because, of course, we're into the new season. So for people down under or in the south hemisphere, this is their spring. For us in the north, it is our fall, but things are changing. There's always, cycles to go. Hi, Veronica. Hi, that's so nice to see you, Nika. And then, it's been a long time, Diana. You're absolutely right. So I wanted to start today by talking about the cycles, right? So we have a lot of cycles in TCM. We are going to talk about the 24-hour cycle and how to use it in clinical practice and how to use it with patients as well. We are going to talk about the seasonal cycle, but also the life cycle, as in our lives, right? What we look at from that perspective as well. So I think not only it's going to be fun to use in clinical practice, but I think it's fun to remind ourselves of how TCM is so in tune with nature and with the circadian rhythm of nature, which applies and we have to connect with as people. So I think that's why I really love TCM. It's because it is connecting to the planet, to others, and to nature, right? That makes it so much fun. Hi, Yvonne from Jamaica. Woohoo! Yvonne, oh my God, I lived in Jamaica. I lived in Ocho Rios and worked there when I was really, really, really young, like 30 years ago, long time ago. Jamaica, nice. I love it. So I lived in a lot of places, you guys, before I ended up in Canada. So today I wanted to start looking at all those rhythm and circadian rhythm. Before we start, I just wanted to remind ourselves of the way the rhythm is with nature, with the planet, right? So for example, there's 24 hours, almost 24 hours, but there is a 24 hours period when the planet rotates on itself, right? That's the first cycle. The second cycle is the lunar cycle, or the moon, which usually TCM has, follows. That's why, Chinese astrology or the seasons kind of follow the moon or the lunar cycle. For people that speak Spanish or French or Italian, lunar comes from the moon, and that's a Latin word, right? So in general, when we are going to have the 30 days or 27 days, that's why we have to catch up every 4 years to an extra day in February. In general, there's almost a 4-week cycle with the moon. And the moon, is very yin in nature, right? Yang is the sun, yin is the moon. So women have tendency to go with the lunar cycle. Feminine power is yin, masculine power is yang. So women have tendency to go more with the moon or the lunar cycle, meaning that their menstruation cycle is going to also fit with the moon, right? That's why when we say, oh my God, there's a full moon and we feel like we're going crazy or out of control, it could be that our cycle is syncing with the moon or it is affected by the change of the lunar cycle. So that's always really interesting. And I see this in practice because I see a lot of women in practice, right? With men, their whole yang energy, which is more, sun energy, is more around the 24-hour cycle. So men will have more energetic being that will be affected by the 24 hours more, and women or feminine energy will have more the affected cycle of the moon, right? So that's the two first one. And everyone, yin and yang people, either feminine or masculine energy, will be affected by the last rotation, which is the Earth rotating around the sun, which is the seasons, right? So this is really fascinating because I love how cycles go with the planet, the Earth, and our being are connected. So when people feel, oh, I don't feel right, or I don't know what's going on, even work-wise, when we have motivation or energy to work, if we are going to work, at certain time of day, some people will say, some women will say, oh, prior to my menstruation, I have no motivation. I don't feel like working, and then at ovulation, they're like, oh my God, I can do so much. I have so much energy, right? We are going to go with the cycle. So even at work, it makes a difference. And it's the same for men. Men will have daytime where they have a lot of energy to work, which usually will be different from women. So they'll have different cycle. That's why usually when men come home in the evening, their energy goes down. And it's very hard for them to focus because they are more young. So they have a lot more energy during the day, specifically in the morning. So it's very interesting to see, because if you want to be productive, you have to look at those cycles to know when is the best time for you to be productive. Isn't that cool? So I love that. So I wanted to start by that. Hi, Alex. Nice to see you. And there is, Will says it works wonderful on dogs. Yeah, I bet. I love that we do animals. That's my favorite thing. I love animals. I wanted to be a vet. If I hadn't been a TCM practitioner, I would have been a vet, but I can't see animals in pain because they can't connect and tell you what's wrong. So I just couldn't do that. So don't forget to hit the thumbs up to give Clara support. Oh, Ashburn, thank you. I know they give me this thing on YouTube now. It's like a little gift thing where you can give, I don't know, some chat gift thing. I don't know what that is. Anyway, there's a lot of things that happen I don't quite understand, so I'm doing my thing and having fun. Michael, also 7 years life cycle. Yes, so we're going to talk about that. You're absolutely right. So we were talking, yes, I was coming to this. Thank you for the reminder. So we talk about the 24 hours, the lunar cycle, which is more monthly, and then the yearly cycle, which is season. So we're going to talk about all this. And then the life cycle. And so that's the one that I wanted to finish with. So thank you for the reminder, Michael. Michael is down under in where it's opposite of up here for season wise. The life cycle of every 7 years, which there is a shedding of our whole skin, our whole body renew itself every 7 years. So there's a lot that changes. And so we're going to talk about that as well on the 7 years cycle. And what does that mean later in life? So those are the whole perspective we're going to talk about today. So if you have questions, feel free to put them in the comment, because I love to answer questions. I might wait a little bit and then put them back when it is suitable. But thank you again for being here. So let's start it up. Okay, so let me see. I'm my own production company, so I'm just trying to get everything ready. Okay, so let's start with the 24 hours. We're going to start, with the small one, and then we're going to go towards the big one, like I said. So we'll start with the 24 hours, then we'll do the monthly, yearly, seasonal, and then the life. So I think that makes sense to go in this perspective. So when it comes to the 24-hour cycle, it follows the cyclical flow of chi. So let's look at that. I already wrote it, so to spend some time, So let's look at the cyclical flow of chi, which is a 24 hours period. I absolutely love this. When we talk about acupuncture and we talk about all the meridians and the flow of chi, when I teach acupuncture theory, I love to talk about this because this is so important. This is the flow of chi within the meridian, right? And it can start anywhere because, of course, I started at the lung, but you can start anywhere because the flow of chi is like a circle. It comes back to where it starts, right? So it's continuous. Hey, look at me using, big words. For a French person, sometimes I am always happy when I use a word I don't use often. I know you guys are thinking, oh my God. Anyway, so I know a lot of you, English is your second language like mine. So, you get me, you understand. So the cyclical flow of chi is going to be a 24-hour period. So in general, in the meridian, chi flows from the lung to the large intestine, to the stomach meridian, to the spleen, to the heart, to the small intestine, bladder, kidney, pericardium, sangel, gallbladder, and liver. Then from the liver goes back to the lung, right? It's a cycle. And that cycle of chi, what I love about it is that it's continuous. And a lot of my students will ask, okay, so if meridians are bilateral, right? And you have the cycle of chi, which starts in the lung and then goes down and then back up to the large intestine and down to the stomach and back up to the spleen, etc., all the way to the liver. Then how do you go the other side, right? So remember that the only meridian that crosses the body is the large intestine meridian. The large intestine meridian crosses the body up at the lip area, the upper lip area. So when we start on the right, at the large intestine, we're going to switch to the left. And eventually we get to the left, we get to the liver, and we start on the lung on the left. And then at the large intestine, we'll cross to the right. So this is why, and this is a really cool point, I think, that we forget sometimes. This is why when someone has pain on this side, we can actually use needles on the opposite side because the chi of one side connects to the other through the large intestine. And this is why also large intestine 4, right, is ragu, is one of the best points when it comes to pain because it's such a powerful meridian. Stomach is also powerful because it has a lot of qi and lots of blood, like the large intestine, but that's a really powerful meridian. So this is a cyclical flow of qi within 24 hours, which means that each meridian, because we have 12 meridians, each meridian is going to have 2 hours in a day where it's at its premium. So it's going to give us clues, right? So just a reminder, hopefully this works for me because I never know if my pen are going to work. Just a reminder that from 3 to 5 a.m. is long time. 5 to 7 a.m. is large intestine time. 7 to 9 is stomach. 9 to 11 a.m. is spleen. And right now for me in Canada, because I know it's different for wherever you are, but for me in Canada right now it is heart, which is 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. So lunchtime for me. Small intestine is 1 to 3 p.m. Bladder is 3 to 5 p.m. I hope you can see that because it's pretty small. Kidney is 5 to 7 p.m. Pericardium is 7 to 9. Senja is 9 to 11. Gallbladder is going to be 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. and liver is 1 to 3 a.m., which most of us use a lot in clinical practice, and we're back at the lungs. So this whole thing is your 24 hours clock. So yeah, so I'm just going to look at the comment, you guys. Good evening from Latvia. Ooh, oh, Latvian reflexologist in Norway. You are from Latvia, but you live in Norway. Yay, that's awesome. Hi, Simona. Gina, Long Island. Hey, I got some New York. Yes, it's 3 o'clock in New York. I love it. Logcash. I hope I said your name properly. Very happy I'm attending your live class as my wish. Oh, that's so nice. Casper, hi from the Netherlands. Henworm, yay. And Sarah, yay. Thank you, you guys. So the 24-hour clock, if we look at this from that perspective, when we see patients, this is really good to give us clues, right? If we are living in the rhythm of the 24-hour clock, right? 3 to 5 a.m., we should be at the end of our sleep. So if you're not a morning person, usually we should get up between 5 and 7 a.m. 5 a.m., closer to 5 a.m. in the summer, closer to 7 a.m. in the winter. We have to go with the seasons, right? When it's darker, we should wake up with the light of day, right? So usually 7:30, depending where you are in the world, right? Like I know, we were talking about Yvonne, who's in Jamaica, and in Jamaica, because you are closer to the equator, you are not going to have a lot of shift, right? Usually it's kind of like a 12 hours almost on both sides, so it doesn't move that much. So usually it's 6:30 a.m. that, or between 6 or 6:30 that the sun rises. So in general, we want to wake up with the light of day. So in summer, it's earlier, like around 5:30, depending on where you are. And then in winter, it would be later. And again, if you're in the south, it's a little bit different, right? So we wake up between that time. That is the best to go with nature. You got to wake up with the light of day. So when people say to me, oh, I can't get up in the morning, I have such a hard time to get up in the morning, we're going to see what that means in a minute. Because it's the large intestine, we need to empty our bowels. So we should have a bowel movement when we wake up. So of course, we want to have a bowel movement at least once a day, 2 times a day would be better, 3 times a day would be great, optimal, but once a day. And then if we have a bowel movement in the morning, that is the optimal. Some people may have 1 bowel movement a day, maybe later during the day. That's fine because it's better to have 1 than not at all. But it's optimal to empty yourself before you replenish yourself, which is to eat something and start, gently going into the stomach time. So stomach time 7 to 9 is when we're supposed to wake up the stomach. And it should be gentle. So no cold water in the stomach. That is so not TCM. No ice water, no ice drink, no smoothies. Even if you're on the hot side, start gentle by water that is room temperature with a squeezed lemon juice, right? A little bit of a squeezed lemon juice. That would be really good to kind of wake up and the acidity in the stomach and the stomach juices. So we want to do that, and then we can start eating something that is nourishing to the body. So depending on who you are, if you have more yin, more yang, if you're deficient excess, that would change in the breakfast. But we want something that's gentle and that's going to nourish us and give us energy for the next 2 hours, which is 9 to 11 a.m. So that's the main morning time. And the main morning time is going to be spleen time. And spleen and TCM is in charge of muscles, right? It's controlling muscles, all the muscles in the body, but it's also sending clear energy, clear chi to the brain for focus and concentration. So the morning time is the best time to either exercise, get that energy going, go do some exercise, or to work with mental work, right? So if you are going to be productive and do mental work, that is the best time to do it, or to exercise those time. And you can do both because, of course, you have a couple of hours. You have enough time to do both. Having said that, this is what I'm saying about morning. A lot of time people will wake up later on or have a hard time getting out of bed. They'll say, oh my God, I can't get out of bed. Or I'm not hungry in the morning ever. So if people are not hungry in the morning, or they don't like morning, they don't want to get up. Of course, if they go to bed at 1 a.m., that's why. So that needs to be changed. The sleep habits have to be changed. But if they go to bed at 10 and then they still can't get up at 8, which is a 10-hour sleep, then they are spleen chi deficient. They are definitely spleen chi deficient. So that gives us clue, right? And then if someone is not hungry, they have no appetite in the morning, again, they could be stomach chi or spleen chi deficient, or even yang deficient if they feel cold, right? So that'll give us clue. Midday time is the hard time. So midday is when, right now for me, it's midday. That's why I have all this energy and all the love, because it's hard time. It's joyful, right? So if you look at a lot of countries in the world, specifically where I come from, France, Spain, Italy, the main meal of the day is lunch, right? But after that, we do a siesta, or we do a little nap, right? So one of the things in North America, everybody eats at their desk, everybody eats really fast, nobody chews, everybody is run, or eating while driving or while walking. So no matter what, if you're going to have your lunch, it should be very mindful. We should have, and I always tell my patients, take the time to step back, be mindful, chew your food really well, and do not work at your desk. Go for a walk. Do something that's going to make your heart joyful. So going for a walk is great. It increases circulation. It gives you oxygen. It's great. But sitting with coffee, so no caffeine at lunch, that's also not good for the heart. Nothing that is going to promote bad heart, anxiety, palpitation, caffeine, all the stress things. So stepping away and going for a walk if you can at lunch, and having a lunch that is maybe with friends and really enjoying each other's company, that's great too. Make sense? Okay. I'll take a break to look at what Peter said. England, I love your education style. Oh, thank you, Peter. Really appreciate it. And Walter is in Florida. Yay! And Ansar in India, which is very, very, very late right now. So Shobha, hi. Yes, thank you. I'm glad my tea reaches you. So that's for the heart, right? So when I have a lot of people that are rushed and they eat at their desk, I know stress is a factor, and I know I need to protect the heart, and they probably have more anxiety to start with. So it gives us clues, right? This is not the health clock of 24 hours. It's not just what we need to do. It's also clues of imbalances. From the afternoon, so the two organs in the afternoon that kind of encompasses the whole afternoon in general, which is from 1 to 5, is small intestine and bladder. So small intestine and bladder are in Chinese medicine really in charge of the fluid and the body fluid in our body and excreting the body fluid, right? So the bladder excretes the body fluid, but the small intestine, if you remember from foundation, is in charge of separating the clear from the turbid, which means that any clear fluid is going to be reabsorbed and utilized as hydrotherapy or as electrolyte, and then what we don't need goes to the bladder, and the bladder excretes it, right? So what clue does this clock give us? Well, this is the time where most people that work 9 to 5, that have that kind of schedule, that work, during the day, are going to be dehydrated. This is when people say at 3 o'clock, I have a slump in energy. I don't have enough energy. I feel like, oh, I just don't have energy. My energy drops and I need like a candy bar or some coffee or something to pick me up, right? Even in English, it's called a pick me up. It's not that you're hungry. It's not that you need caffeine. I always tell patients it's because you're dehydrated. So I know right now everybody's going, okay, I better drink. Chin. Right? So it makes you want to drink when you talk about dehydration. But in the afternoon, most people get dehydrated. So it's important to really keep drinking or have hydrating food that is going to supply electrolytes so you don't feel that dip and you don't need that pick me up, right? So that's often when I ask people, how's your energy during the day? And they tell me, oh, I'm okay. But then by 3 o'clock, it drives down. Then it's easy. It's just hydration. It's not hard, right? Then we have kidney at 5 to 7. So kidney is from 5 to 7 p.m., which is when usually most people in the world will be home with their family, right? I mean, we're going to talk about people that have different jobs that are shift job after this. But in general, people are going to be home by 5 to 7. And so it depends, again, how your lifestyle is in the world and where you're at. But this is when we connect to family, right? The kidney in Chinese medicine is in charge of the reproductive system. It's in charge of making family, growing your family. So this is family time. This is when the family should reconnect, get together, talk about the day, and really spend time together. Not on devices, not in front of some kind of Netflix stuff, and not, running around from activities to activities to activities. I see a lot of parents, and I know a lot of parents that are patients of mine are what I call taxi drivers, because they really, after work, they pick up their kids and they take them to soccer, they take them to ballet, they take them to whatever activities the child is doing. And then they go pick up the other one, and then they just run around, and then they grab something really quick at a fast food restaurant and then eat really quick before they get home. So that is really disruptive, and it's not family time. And I know it's not always easy, but at the same time, I found that this is really important to connect with family. And so when I see people that run around from 5 to 7, what do you think that those people have? They worked all day, and then they run around after work to do all the things for the family, and then they eat really fast. This depletes their adrenals. Their cortisol level is affected, their adrenals are affected, and then they're exhausted, but they're running on empty, which means that even though they're exhausted, they can't stop. They're the go, go, go because they're always on fight or flight. They're never in a parasympathetic state, unless they get acupuncture, which would put you in the state. They're always on the fight or flight. So then, their cortisol level gets affected. That's why we're supposed to come, gather, and connect to the family and connect to other people. And it doesn't matter if you're single and your family is far away. Connect to friends. Connect to people that you love. Connect to your pet. Spend time with your pet. Like, whatever it is, this should be a time of love and connection. Does that make sense? So hopefully that makes sense. I hope we're enjoying this. I got Carrie from sunny California. Yes, not rainy Vancouver here. You're in sunny California. And we got Quantum Time for Tennessee. I love your handle, Quantum Time. Nuria, you in Geneva. I love it. I am from 40 minutes from Geneva. I'm literally 40 minutes. That's where I fly when I go see my family. And Mark says, that's me. Oh, man. We all have things we have to, keep working on, right? Okay, so now let's talk about the pericardium, the 7 to 9. The pericardium in Chinese medicine is the cover of the heart, right? It takes care of the heart. It is the protector of the heart. So as a protector, you want to protect your heart, which means this is the time from 7 to 9 to start going yin, to start going in, which means 7 to 9 is a time to calm down, quiet the mind, to do things that makes your heart sing, but in a calm way. So it could be meditation. It could be something like yin yoga, stretching, reading a book that you love, listening to some really nice music, not some hard rock, but some more calming music, something that makes you happy, something that is going to take a bath. That's a great way to calm down, right? This is the time to really calm down and get ready for the night and not be on the device with the blue light and dark around over 4 hours and hours. That's the problem, right? Or watch Netflix, etc. Like, this is really important. I know in our house we put every device on airplane mode at night, and we put them away so they're not next to the bed. So we have some time off. So that's what we try to do. It's not always feasible. I totally understand that. But if everybody is safe in the house, then, put the device away and read a book or listen to music or do something that, makes you happy. So protector of the heart. And this is when a lot of people will go exercise. A lot of people will go to the gym at 7 p.m., right? And work out. And then they come home and they're all hyper and they can't come down to go to sleep. So then they go to sleep at midnight because they need that calm down time. Sanjiao is 9 to 11. Someone said, sorry. Hi, Ioannis from Greece. Will there be a copy on YouTube? Yes, if you have to go, don't worry. I will put the replay on YouTube. Absolutely. For sure. So let's talk about Sanjiao. Sanjiao, triple burner, triple warmer, triple heater is, what does it do in Chinese medicine? It's the container of all the organs, right? It is the container of all the organs. That's why it's called triple burner. The upper burner or upper jiao is where all the upper organs are, going to be contained, like the lung and heart. Then you have the middle and the lower. So all the trunk area, all your organs are contained in a Sanjiao according to Chinese medicine. So Sanjiao time is when you put all your organs to sleep. This is time to bring them down and allow them to rest and recover after the day's activities, right? So from 9 to 11 p.m. is the best time to go to bed to get your best sleep. So in winter, it should be close to 9:30. In summer, it can go all the way to 11 because the days are longer depending where you live. So you can stretch that a little bit later. But anything before 10:30 will be your best sleep. If you sleep 8 hours from midnight to 8, it's not the same restful sleep as if you went to sleep from 10 to 6. It's still 8 hours, but that's your best sleep. So I always tell patients, I understand you need your downtime at night because, you've been busy all day and you have family, but make sure to try, it's best to go to bed maybe at 10 and then wake up at 5:30, that's 7.5 hours, or 6, and then take the time to do your own thing, because this is a long time. We're going to talk about this. But when you wake up at 5 or at 6, large intestine time in between that, you are waking up in a new day where you can journal, you can meditate, you can have your downtime, you can make some tea, you can just take the time to breathe and be quiet in the house. Most people will be sleeping, so this is your time. It's better to have it in the morning than at the end of the day when you're tired. Does that make sense? So that's what I usually tell patients. So we want to put our organs to sleep at Sanjiao time. That's the best time. And then we go into the gallbladder. So the gallbladder in Chinese medicine is in charge of decision making, right? It's the one that just can't decide if it wants to go right or left, front and back, up and down, doesn't know. So when patients will say, oh, I go to bed around midnight, I always say, do you have a hard time making decision? And they're like, oh yeah, that's me. That's not surprising, right? Because they go around midnight to bed. This is gallbladder time. We should be sleeping. So if you go to bed around that time, that gives me a clue that your gallbladder is definitely going to be deficient and it's hard for you to make decision. And then if on top of it, someone doesn't have a gallbladder, they have it removed because whatever happened in their health, they had it removed. That also increase the difficulty in sleeping at that time. So even though the physical organ is gone, the energy is still there and it affects the person because it's missing the physical pieces. So I get that question a lot. If someone is missing an organ, what happened? The energy is still there, right? Phantom limbs, when people don't have a limb, they still feel it because the energy, the meridian is still there. It's not gone. The physical part is gone, but the energy of it is not. If someone, then we have 1 and 3 a.m., which is liver time, and now we use a lot in clinical practice, right? We do that a lot. So in 1 to 3 a.m., we have liver time. So a lot of time if people say, oh, I wake up every night, and I always say, like, what, 2:30? And they go, yeah, how do you know? Well, it's not magic. Specifically, if the person's super stressed, you can see that they wake up between 1 and 3 a.m. Now, if they can go back to sleep, It's a liver yang rising, so it's not as bad. If they can't go back to sleep at all, that's a liver fire. It could be also a liver blood deficiency. So we have to address the problem. There's so much stress that the person is waking up, then they start thinking and they can't calm down, right? So that gives us clues. It's really important to sleep between 1 and 3 a.m. for your liver to recover from the stress of the day. And then we talked about the long. So I started at 3 a.m., which is obviously really early. But 3 to 5 a.m., some people will say, I always wake up too early. I wake up at like 3:30 or 4, right? So now we're in a long time. If you are going to wake up between 3:30 and 4 as a patient, usually there's two things. Either there's an issue with not being able to voice your opinion, so it's stuck in your throat and it's not voicing. The lung is the voice, right? The lung is in charge of the voice. See how I have a strong voice? My lungs have been strong for a long time. So I have to protect my liver and my spleen. My lungs are good, right? So the lungs are in charge of the voice. So the voice, if you're not able to voice something, your emotion, if you're repressing anything, that's a sign of waking up at 4 a.m. or between 3 and before 5, right? If you don't have to get up or if you went to bed later. So that's one. Or if you're not able to let go. If something you're holding on and you're not able to let go, again, it's a repressed emotion. So we'll talk a little bit more about letting go when we talk about the seasons. Does that make sense? So this whole thing is really good to tell us what's going on, give us clues, but also gives us guidance of what's best for our body. This is why when people have shift work, most people with shift work, if you do a shift work for a couple of weeks, in your whole lifetime, it's not going to affect you. But nurses, for example, and thank you for all the nurses that have worked so hard, that work so much, 12 hours. The problem with the way it is in North America anyway is nurses are working 12 hours shift and they do 2 nights followed by 2 days. Their circadian rhythm is completely out of whack. And by the time they've been working for 10 years, their body is so depleted, they're so unhealthy because they have no choice, because they're not following nature or the circadian rhythm. And so not only the nurses have worked really hard in the past, since 2020 and all that's happening, but on top of it, they have, all those years of not being able to follow nature. So we owe them a lot, because I see nurses as patients and they are very depleted altogether. So if you are a nurse, I'm sending you lots of love, because thank you for what you do. Okay, so I'm just going to go back here, you guys, for a second, and I'm just going to look at anything that came up. Michael said, pericardium time is also a time where a lot of people eat too much. Yes, lowest time of stomach leaves one with a big problem. Yes, you're right. A lot of time people have big dinners and they eat really late, and that doesn't help the pericardium, which doesn't help the heart, which can create phlegm, including cholesterol, but also high blood pressure, right? It can create more and more things. So thanks for the reminder. Diana says, oh, it's in the Netherlands. It's 9 o'clock in the evening. I am watching on the smartphone. Oh, no, Diana. Okay, well, when we're done, take the smartphone away, because it'll be 10 o'clock. So then you have time to come down, right? Maybe you can just do something like a bath or listen to some music and then get away from the phone. But don't leave us yet. I know, I totally get it. It's not that easy. The whole 24-hour clock is not that easy to implement all the time, right? But if we could do as much as we can, that will help us a lot. Okay? Okay, so that was a good one. We started with a big clock. So I'm just going to go to this. Perfect. So we did the 24-hour clock. I just want to talk about the seasons. And you guys know the circadian cycle in TCM. We're going to talk about the season now. And the seasons... we have 5 seasons because they follow the 5 elements, right? As you guys know, obviously. But I want to start by talking about them a little bit in a different way, which is one of my favorite sequence in the 5 elements, which is the cosmological sequence. And then we'll talk about each season individual. When we have the 5 elements, we have a lot of sequence, right? The generating sequence, the insulting, the controlling, over-controlling, all the cycles are different. But this one's my favorite, specifically in clinical practice. So when you look at the 5 elements, like wood, fire, metal, water, and earth, Earth is always in the center in the sequence, and it makes sense because in Chinese the word middle is actually zhong, Z-H-O-N-G. The word zhong means middle, and zhong qi, the qi of the middle, is the digestive qi, right? It's spleen and stomach. That's the middle. And this is why Earth is related to the digestive system, because it's in the middle of our being. If you go from your feet to your head, the digestive system is literally in the middle. So what does that mean? It means that Earth season, since we're talking about season, is always a transitional season. So it's a transition between any season. Yes, like summer to fall, but fall to winter, winter to spring, spring to summer. So those couple of weeks where there's transition of season, that is Earth time. Also, in the lifetime of your life, transitional time is Earth as well. So, when you become a teenager to an adult, that's transitional time. When you go through menopause, for example, that's transitional time. So we're going to talk about this a bit later, but Earth is at the middle and at the transitional time. So I love that because it's always in between. So it's a time of transformation, which can also be used when you need to do transformation, when you need to change, when you need to transform yourself. What does that mean? It could be that you need to realign yourself, ground yourself again, because the ground, right, like earthy, very ground yourself, realign yourself, maybe change job, maybe it's time to move, to change relationship, to make new relationship, to learn something new. It's literally something where we get to transform ourselves. And so I love that because that's one of the best season for me. At the same time, it's a season that if you are sensitive and you Earth kind of more personality, which if you are an empath, for example, you're definitely more Earth personality, which you're compassionate, you're nurturing, but you're very sensitive. And so you're sensitive to other people's emotion, but also sensitive to season change, lifestyle change. Every kind of change affects you a little bit more than somebody that's not Earth or that's not an empath. So, this is really cool. Key says, how does someone who works at night like the nurses help to regain some balance? Yeah, so, in Chinese medicine, we always look at the root cause. If the root cause is your lifestyle, the lifestyle needs to be changed, right? The root cause is this person needs to not be a nurse in the nighttime or have to be a nurse just during the day, like work a normal hour day, shift day on a regular basis. However, that's not always possible. Sometimes you cannot remove the cause, which is your job, right? It's a choice and we need nurses. So if we can't remove the cause, then we have to manage it. Manage it by having the best lifestyle that we can control possible, with diet, with rest, with de-stressing time, with addressing everything that keeps our body as healthy as possible. Because that is the choice. We can get acupuncture, we can eat a really good diet, we're going to make sure that we breathe deeply, that we exercise, take some fresh air. All this has to be amplified even more than someone that works during the day and doesn't have to stay up during the night. So hopefully that answers your question, Keith. Thank you for it. So when you look at wood, metal, fire, and water, this is again for, the North Hemisphere, because Michael, I know you are in the South, so in down under. So in general, fire is the summer, right? It is midday, it's noon. Like right now is fire time or heart time. Heart is the fire element. Fire goes up, right? So that would be when is the most young time of the day, young time of the year, right? And this is a time for growth. This is when everything's going to grow. So if you're going to grow in summer, you're going to start growing more, okay? In the spring, which is like 6 a.m. sunrise, right? It's more in the east. It's time for things to birth, to start. This is for new beginning. When we look at wood, we look at new beginning, right? New start. When you look at metal, which is right now, the fall, we're going to talk about this a little bit more in detail, but the fall is sunset, right? Things go down. We kind of get away from the sun and we start going to yin time or more calm down time. And usually this is time for harvest, for gathering, to get ready for the dark season, which is the water season, which is the north or winter. and it's nighttime. It's the coldest, the more yin, the more dark, right? And this is time for storage, for self introspection, for self-reflection, for hibernation, right? So we look at this from that perspective, and I love that it works for the daytime, it works for the seasons, it works for life in general. So I love that sequence because I think it's very powerful. Okay, so let's talk about each season, and I'm just going to go through this quickly. Again, if I'm going too fast, you can watch this again because it'll be live again. So let's go on the wood. So I start with the spring because spring is the beginning, right? That's why I did, even though right now for some of us we're on the fall, but I know some of you are in the spring. So the springtime, liver and gallbladder, of course, it's all about beginning and new beginnings. So not only this is time where a lot of people will do a little bit of a gentle cleanse of the liver and gallbladder after the winter when we ate maybe a lot of more heavy food in general. We want to have more steaming or sprouting or stir-fried, like very light cooking food. And we want to have new food like baby carrots, baby sprouts and baby spinach, things that are going to be new, that just pop out, right, from the ground. So that is going to be a lot more green. And we want it also in that time. This is birthing, right? This is new beginning. This is when you want to start to look at what else you could begin, right? What else you could start. And that's why a lot of people, I think that a lot of people on January 1st in North America anyway, they all join a gym. But by the end of January, nobody's in the gym anymore because I think it's that new year. But it's not, the body's not meant to start something new in hibernation in winter. So I used to work in the fitness industry. We would have such an influx of people coming to sign up to start working out in January. And then 2 weeks later, the gym would be, people would pay, but they would not come except the regular, right? So we saw that every single year. But then people start coming back in the spring, right? Because that is actually when we want to start and birth new things. So new relationship, new beginning, new life, new everything, and not just exercising. So if you have a project, usually that you want to start or birth, this is the right time to have the motivation to do so. Okay? All right, let's look at summer. Summer, 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 summer. So fire element summer. This is when we have the most joy and everybody's outside and everybody is connecting with people and there's passion in the air and there's, everybody is excited. There's lots of colors. So the food should be colorful, and we can see that because we want to eat in season, right? The earth made food for us to eat in season on purpose. It's made for us. We don't even have to think. Whatever grows at the time, this is what we're supposed to eat, right? Local food in season. So in the summer, it's great because we can have all the different kind of juicy fruits and vegetables that are very high in water content, like cucumber and things that are going to nourish our senses with lots of colors and taste. And, this is going to be a time where we are excited to be outside. We are going to have fun. We're going to go on a picnic, like in that pictures, right? It's okay to not cook everything. You don't want to overdo the raw, right? And the cold, specifically if you're deficient. So we have to be careful with that. But we want to definitely have a beautiful, colorful life. What does that mean? It means that this is time to go outside, to connect with people, to enjoy the outdoors, to do activities. Very young time, right? It's a lot of activity in the summer, and it's okay to feel that way, right? And to go and enjoy it, and everybody loves it. So this is a great time to go play outside. I love that. For me, I love playing outside, so love the summer. However, my favorite season, I'm going to come back to this. My favorite season is now in Canada, which is the fall, which has beautiful colors that I love. So that's my season. I love the fall. By the way, you guys, tell me which season is your favorite season. I'm so into the fall. First of all, the metal element, the long and large intestine, is my jam because I always love those two for many reasons. And like I said, my lungs are strong, my large intestine is really good. In general, my skin is pretty good. So, it's an element that I feel pretty good about, not like liver and spleen where I struggle a little bit more for sure. So fall is where we're going to start going back after the summer and going back into more yin time, right? Because we came from the yang time. So we are going to start having to can and make fermented food. That's why canning is the best time right now. You can can and you can pick up the fruits and vegetables like apples and pears and squash and pumpkins and all the good vegetables of the fall, plus spices like cinnamon and ginger and chai and nutmeg and cardamom. Those are the best. When we are going to look at fall, we want to start eating more hearty food, right? We're going to start to cook, but ferment, make some can. People used to do canning all the time for storing for the winter. So you have all the fruits and vegetables that you got in the summer, maybe from your garden or from the farmer's market, and then can it for later on, so you can have the probiotics that comes in fermented food that nourishes your gut, your large intestine, to fight off the bacteria and viruses for the flu season, which is coming up. So I see Quantum Time says we are all part of the space-time motion continuum. We so are. Fall for sure too. Spring, definitely spring. A lot of people like the new thing. Chris and Willie are like, I like to start the new thing. I love the fall, but I love that you guys share that. This is awesome. So when it comes to fall, one of the things we need to think is the long and large intestine, specifically the large intestine, is the organs that let go, right? We take the bowel movement, we let go. But it's in emotional perspective, the large intestine is the organ that lets go. However, the lung also lets go the CO2, right? You inhale and then you exhale all your CO2, right? So we are letting go of the bad CO2 and the bowel movement. So in the fall, this is a time to let go. First of all, let go of summer, because a lot of people have a hard time. Oh, summer's gone. Oh, I don't like that. Let go of summer, but also of emotional baggage that you may have. It's time to exhale it. It's time to get it out. A lot of time when there's chronic constipation, but the person is eating well, drinking enough fluid, moving a lot, and had everything checked and nothing is blocked, that could be an emotional repressed or emotional holding on. So we need to let go of any baggage and exhale it, or voice our emotions, let them go, and being able to process them and let them go. So this is a really good time to cleanse your emotion. In the spring, it's a better time to cleanse the physical. In the fall, it's better time to cleanse your emotion and nourish your immune system. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. So, okay. I'm going to do winter, then we'll go back to earth in a minute. Here we go. So the winter season, which is the water element in TCM, connects to the kidney and the bladder, and which is connecting to the reproductive system, but also the aging system, right? So you look at bears, of course, we're not bears, but bears hibernate in winter, right? We need to go with the season. In winter, up north, we have a lot of darkness, right? So we need to go in more. This is the most yin time of the year. We need to stay warm and we need to go yin more. So for food, specifically stews and big hearty food with lots of vegetables and broth and beans and things that are going to be really more nourishing and more heavy, right? In general, they're a bit more heavy. So we roast, we cook them longer, and we want to have warm food. Of course, spices are great as well, but lots of nuts. Nuts and seeds are really good for kidney. They're great for the aging system. They're great for the reproductive system. So this is a time where we want to have spices, but also nuts and seeds and lots of more warm food, as you can see in here. It's a time to meditate, to go to bed early, to rest more. In summer, this is where we play outside a lot. In winter, we should do activities that are more reading, that are more calming and more yin. This is the best time to kind of reassess, to look at what you have accomplished and what you want to do next, right? It's like a reassess time. That's what I love about winter in general when it comes to TCM. So let's go back to the earth. And the earth, like we said, the earth element is the middle, right? It's in between all the season changes. So if you have patients or you are someone that gets affected by other people that get affected by season changes, by any kind of changes, and you're more of an empath or sensitive person, you're more of an earth element person, it's really important to give yourself what I call baby food at that time. So baby food is food that is very that is easy to digest. So what's easy to digest? Mashed food, like soup of squash and pumpkin, mushed. It's mashed. Sweet potatoes, right? That is really, really soft and easy. Eggs, fish that just kind of flakes, like salmon, for example, not hard stuff. So it's not a time to have a lot of, let's say, wild rice, for example. Wild rice is really hard to digest, and this is digestive system element. So we want to be more gentle, like I said, baby food. Why do we give babies mashed food and pureed food? It's because their digestive system is still learning how to be able to process all the new food, right, from the breast milk. So this is the same thing. We need to be gentle on the digestive system anytime there's a change. That's the easiest way to do, and definitely avoid cold food when it's that. And then, like I said, this is a time to be in harmony, right? This is a time to be in harmony with yourself, to ground yourself, to be able to, ground yourself. Stay grounded and focus, not feel scattered. If the person feels scattered, acupuncture would be great for that. We need to ground ourselves, bring ourselves down to be in harmony with ourselves and everything around us. So I hope that's useful. Okay, so let me go back to this, you guys. Here we go. So we talked about the 24-hour cycle or the clock. We talked about the seasonal, right? We saw that. Now let's talk about life and lifetime, right? So we have different time in our lives. So I think I'm gonna use the board. So hold on. I'm just gonna take this down. I'm erasing everything. You guys are still with me. Thank you. And then we're going to use this. Let's see the screen. Perfect. We are back. Okay. And I'm glad you guys can see me because it's so dark outside. I didn't think. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to need some light. So, all right. Let me see comments. My favorite season is summer, spring. Bit like your metal is strong, but generally love all the seasons. New Zealand's fall are short. Oh, New Zealand, Michael, is so on my bucket list. I so want to go to New Zealand. Oh my God, it looks like British Columbia, Canada, and I love to hike. And you guys, especially the South Island, looks like hiking Mecca. I would love it. Osama, to listen to you again, but was late due to connective issue. No problem. You can watch the beginning after I will post it. So, hi, little mouse. That's really nice, you guys. Okay, so we talked about the first two. Let's talk about the life cycle. And so, what's interesting about TCM is there's a life cycle of 7 years. And if you look at the 8 extraordinary vessel, right? The 8 extraordinary vessel, the Ren, the Du, the Chong, the Dai, Yin Wei, Yang Wei, Yin Chao, Yang Chao, all of them are connected to 7 time years or 7 years time. 7 years time? Yeah. All extraordinary vessels are connected to 7 years. This is a course I took with Yvonne Farrell. If you don't know Yvonne Farrell, Google her. She's amazing when it comes to the extra vessels. And I learned so much from her. She's in California, but, she's come to Canada many times. And she was supposed to come in November, but now, So hopefully soon again. So 7-year cycle are really interesting because you have 7 or 0 to 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, and then we'll go obviously 56 and 64, and then we'll stop there because we can keep going for a long time. Okay, so when you look at those cycles, the first thing you have to think is this is 1 to 7 is when you are a child. And then from 7 to 14, you are going to be a teenager, right? And then from 14 to 21, you are getting into being adult. So by 21, you are fully grown, you're an adult, and that's your adult life right there. Okay, so we're going to talk about this. And then, so when there is, first of all, when there is a lot of chronic disorders in Chinese medicine, specifically disorders that have been known to be called unknown cause, like fibromyalgia, for example, or autoimmune disorders as well. Not saying all of them, but I'm saying a lot of time, emotional trauma that happen in the first 3 cycles of our lives, right, is what we need to work on. So inner child in here, and in here. So if there is a lot of trauma that comes from childhood and teenagehood, right, up until 21, this has to be addressed because it will be carried on for the rest of our lives in our subconscious, and it actually changed our cells and change our body at the cellular level. And that can create inflammation, that can create a lot of issues. So this is very TCM, but it's also in Western, they're starting to look at this from that perspective. So the first 21 years is when we come into ourselves, right? And that's the beginning. This is really the wood time, right? This is when we are in the spring of our life, right? This is when we're born, birth, beginning. All this is beginning. We are forming ourselves. So this is all wood, which means it's more liver time. This is when kids have temper tantrum. This is when teenagers are being, bitchy. And this is when, there is a lot that comes up and that we need to address with specifically when it comes to the liver. So it's super important to have a good diet, but to recognize that this is new, everything is new, and we need to process all this new, right? If you remember as a teenager, that wasn't easy, right? And now it's probably even worse for most people. Paris Lima said, thank you, Clara. Excellent explanation. Always happy to listen to you. We'll continue on YouTube. Blessing. Thank you. Bye. Okay, so the next part is basically those from 21 all the way to 35 to 42, I will say, depending on who you are, but up to 42. So that whole next 7 years is going to be the summer of your life. Woo! Party time! So this is the summer of your life, which means that this is a time for growth, for development. This is all when people start to grow, to learn, to become who they're supposed to be, to start understanding who they want, what they don't want. This is the time of your life where you have a lot of energy, where you're at your peak, hopefully because you're healthy. If you're not healthy, it's a different story. But in general, that is the peak of our lifestyle. It's the fire, the most young we can be, right? Like this is when people meet other people. This is when people get into relationships, and all this is, and getting your job or growing into whatever you're trying to do. This is your growth period. This is your fun time. This is your joyful time. So enjoy it. I'm just saying, enjoy it. And then we get to the next part, which is those 3 here. And those 3 here are going to be where I am. I'm in here, which is the fall of our lives, right? So this is when things start to dry up, just like outside when the leaves dry up, right? So things start to dry up. There's less fluid. We need to have more hydration, specifically lubrication as well. So this is the time where we're going to start self-reflecting, letting go of our youth, and really empowering ourselves. This is really a really good empowering time. I have friends that can't let go of summer, meaning they can't let go of their youth. Every time we get together, I have a friend who always says, oh, remember when we had so much fun years ago? We used to go hiking and do this and do that. And I'm like, this is a good time too. But she's not embracing the next time, right? And a lot of people are fearful of aging, and they're not embracing, empowering. I remember, I don't know if everybody knows who Oprah is. Most people might know, but Oprah, who's a big, big TV celebrity in America, years ago, years ago, she's probably 15 years older than me, I think, or 10 years older than me. I remember her being on TV and turning 50 and said, the 50s are the best years. And I remember thinking, no way, my 30s are fantastic. What is she talking about? And now that I'm in my 50s, oh my God, Oprah was right. She was so right. Because it is so true that we feel more empowered, we feel more into ourselves, and this is the time to self-reflect and decide what we really want to be, what the legacy we want to leave behind, what do we want to leave, like right after we're gone, right? This is really a time where we start asking the question, who am I? What do I want? What's my purpose in life? And really reflect. So this is a really good time to introspect into yourself. Does that make sense? Okay, so that is definitely more of the fall time. And then we'll go, if we're going 72 and beyond, we'll go, obviously, because we want to live a long time, right? This is the winter of our lives, right? This is when people are going to slow down. Remember, winter is yin time, slow down, rest a lot. This is when we still do a lot of things, but we're going to slow down. We're not going to rush as much. We're going to read more. We're going to still learn and do activities that are much more yin, much more calming, right? So this is when we are going to rest more and not rush. Unless if you do that, sometimes it could deplete your cortisol and your adrenal, and then you're going to age much faster, right? So the idea is to look at it from that perspective. And then the earth time is the transitional time. So transitional time, like I said, for a lot of us is from that time here, like during the teenage years when we're transitioning from a child to an adult, where a lot of us had a hard time with it. I had a hard time with it. So this is when we want to really nourish the spleen, right? And this is when the spleen worries and overthink. You overthink everything when you're a teenager. It's the same thing around menopause in transitional time. And for men too, there's transitional time for men as well, right? This is very, very common. So there is a transition of, being in the summer of our lives and now we're in the fall. We're not as young. We don't look as young, etc., etc. So that is also the ability to let go of that, right? And that's a transitional time. For some people is very difficult. That's why diet is super important in menopause. We need to eat the right diet to be able to keep that transitional time as best as possible. And so the last transitional time too, which is also from retirement to, for a lot of people retire around 60, 65, right? And it's a big transition for people to go from working every day and have a purpose to not. For some people, it's great. Other people have a really hard time with the transition. They get depressed, right? Because it's new and they don't know what to do. And their whole life was working and now they're not sure what to do. So this is a transitional time where we need to nourish the spleen again. So when you see patients in the clinical practice, it's also good to add up points to nourish the spleen at transitional time. Does that make sense? But I have a lot on my website. People always ask me stuff about, do you have this treatment for this treatment for that? I have a resource page on my website that has lots of PDF, lots of protocol, lots of info, TCM Foundation. All this is on my website, acuproacademy.com. So make sure to go there and check it out. I also have both of my books there. If you don't know about those, the links are below in the description. I have 2 books that the feedback has been amazing on the Acupoint Made Easy, which is all about acupuncture points. And then the other one is the one that I had recently, which is all about foundation and diagnosis. And then, you guys, I'm working on the next book. So if you watch this later on, hopefully it'll be done by then, but I'm working on a TCM treatment made easy for all common symptoms. So that's what I'm working on right now because that's by popular demand. So I really, again, appreciate you guys. Thank you very much, Amin, Agata. Thank you. Schumann. Thank you very much. Maria, bye from Argentina. Yay. And Andrea. Hi, Andrea. Oh, I'm so glad you were here. Wow, we got lots of people from Switzerland as well. So you guys are awesome. Thank you very much. I'll see you soon. Stay safe. And I'm sending you lots of love. Bye.